heck, that's a blessing. Okay, moving right along. Board's chair report. I have several items here. I want to thank board members and USBE staff, and a lot of them aren't here to, I guess, to hear it, but I'm sure they're around listening to all this. The legislative breakfast I thought was a great success. It was a lot of work. It was early in the morning. I was really impressed with how many legislators got in there in that first 10 or 15 minutes. Afterwards, they liked the information. They liked the collaboration. So thank you for that. Also, I want to recognize everyone and their work on their committees. It is a lot of work. We've been doing a lot of lifting. So I want to challenge you to take advantage of those moments and be prepared, and that's when a lot of really serious work is done, and members of the other committees highly respect the work that you're doing. And I know from my perspective, I lean on you a lot to vet a lot of things, and of course, I know I can reach out and visit committee members and give input and have questions asked. So a lot of work will happen tomorrow, and that work's going to continue to move forward. Also, with the legislative session, it is fun to see a lot of you there. It's not a requirement, but it does show the legislators that we are engaged, we respect their process, and it's my privilege to represent you. And a lot of times when I get called to speak to something, this is really important for you to know this, and I witness it constantly. When legislators are cornering staff or myself, and they want to talk about their bill or an education bill, one of the first things that come out of their mouths and one of the last things that come out of their mouth, and including mine, is whether or not the board has taken position on this. And so, Superintendent, thank you. I think they always, a lot of times they don't always remember the first thing that you said. Hopefully they remember the last, but thank you for that. And I know other board members are doing the same. It respects the authority of the board, and they respect us, knowing that we haven't met yet or we haven't taken a position. At the same time, it's been my privilege to speak to the things that you have taken a position on, and it means a lot to them on the Hill when you do, and what you're behind. And that, I know there's some legislation out there that might appear not to be friendly for public education. You know, the word's back out again that on how this board is selected, whether it's appointed or elected, and that keeps coming up, and I get asked my opinion a lot, and I want to share with you what I share with them. We have a 15-member board that's elected by the citizens, and it's, you know, in Utah we have all this great success, but we still have a lot of work to do. But we can talk about the successes that we have. We also can talk about the things that we got to work on. But what's really important for me to make sure that they understand is, out of this 15-member board, I shared with some of you at lunch on this, is yes, we have some unique individual comments and questions and that's what kind of makes up a fun dynamic on this board. But then I go to the point, I bring to their attention that judge us more on what we do than what we say. And I ask them, as they're contemplating the existence of this board and how and what that might look like moving forward, I ask them, I said, so do you have any evidence of anything that this board has done of late or in the past, or something that has been negative for public education, that has hurt students, that has not met the expectations of parents? And show me the evidence. Help me understand what it is, and we can move it forward and try to make a correction. And then it goes to crickets. I'm not getting a lot of that evidence, and so I'm not speaking for or against something that might be proposed to change that governance of a smaller board or appointed, elected, but this is the board that we have. And this is the board that the people put in here, or put forward to take care of this state's education. And in my closing comment to them, and I'll say it to you, is there, especially in the last few years, there has been a lot of wonderful things happening in public education. It's always been there, but it seems like some better things are surfacing. Test results, I call it the recipe for success. And we have one here. It's very unique, the way that we are set up. And I do comparables. I'm not an engineer, but I'm surrounded by a lot of engineers, and a lot of what they do, or they do comparables and these other analysis. So there's data mongers out there that I just want more data. And to quote the late Steve Jobs, I'm not going to quote him because I can't remember how he said it, but all those people that brought data to him, if it didn't help drive a decision, don't bring me data. And if you're on my payroll, you're off my payroll. Don't mess in that space. Just data just bring me data that helps helps his entity make good decisions. And I think that's what we're doing here moving forward. So I say in this recipe of success, it's just not this board, but it's our local boards. And I'll say this, it's the legislature, it's the governor's office, it's the business community, but more so it's the teachers and those that are employed in within the LEAs to go make education happen. We have a good thing going on, but our work isn't done. But be careful when you mess with the recipe. I know that when my wife is baking or something, especially some really good rolls, grandma's rolls are really, really good. Something happens and you mess with that recipe, you don't get rolls, and so that's what I say. So that's what I put out there. You guys can have your own narrative of how this board works or how we interface with public education, but that's how I'm rolling today and rolling into this legislation. I want to thank all of you for your work and your comments and the good work that you're doing. And so do you guys have any questions for me? I did compliment staff, right? I forgot to spend time on that. They are working their guts out, staying ahead of this. Everything's about our strategic plan again, and it's getting driven home and with smiles on their faces. So do you guys have any questions for me? I'm easy to get a hold of. If you can't get a hold of me, complain to Miss Lorraine and she'll find me. So I appreciate you too, and all the work that you're doing. This is just the beginning of a tough race with the legislature. It's going to come and go really fast, and so we need to stay on top of it.